Hey folks, and welcome to the third episode of Two Beers, One Movie. Today we're going to be reviewing a really much anticipated film, Many Saints of Newark, the Sopranos story, the spin-off, sequel, whatever way you want to put it. I have my beer ready, which is a Cobra. It's nice and refreshing. Yep, that's good. So let's get straight into it. So we're reviewing Many Saints of Newark, the Sopranos story. The tagline or logline is "Who Made Tony Soprano?" It's directed by Alan Taylor, who did Thor: Dark World, Terminator Genesis. He done some Game of Thrones and some Boardwalk Empire episodes, if I'm not mistaken. It's written by Sopranos creator David Chase, starring Alessandro Nivola as Dickie. Really hope again I'm pronouncing that correctly. Michael Gandolfini as Tony, Berta Farmiga as Livia Soprano, Corey Stoll as Junior Soprano, John Bernthal as Johnny Boy Soprano, Ray Liotta as Hollywood Dick and also Hollywood Dick's twin brother. And then there's John Margo as Silvio Dante, who I do really want to touch on soon enough too. So let's start off the whole premise of the movie and the setting. It's set in 1960, late 1960s, early 1970s New Jersey. There is a lot of rioting, a lot of police brutality amongst the black community, and it gives you the feel of how the day and age was back then for people living in this area. Dickie is our main character. It essentially is Dickie's story, or at least we're told it's Dickie's story. The narrative does become a bit of a tug and war between Dickie and Tony much further into the second part of the film. So Dickie is everything that we've been told throughout the TV series. He's cool, he's slick, he's well respected. He rises up to take what's his. He has guys working under him like Silvio, like Pussy, like Paulie. And then there's the Junior Soprano, who has a bit of a problem with the way he's been kind of stepped over by Dickie. How Dickie runs thing. He feels Dickie makes fun of him, and Junior really doesn't like this at all. Johnny Boy, he has more of a role in this obviously than we seen before in the series, but again at times he is absent because he does get sent away. There's not really a plot per se. I think the movie's full of just subplots, little subplots thrown about here and there. Some are not as engaging. I think, as I said, the main plot or the main subplot is Dickie's story. He has a guy, a black guy working for him called Harold McBriar. He's like a collector for him, an associate. Dickie kind of speaks down to him in front of the rest of the crew. The likes of Paulie and Pussy will take little pop shots at him, and he's looking what's going on surrounding his own people in the black community, with the blues brutality, the lack of respect he's been given from Dickie himself, and he kind of wants a piece of the pie himself as well. He doesn't want to be an errand boy anymore. Eventually a kind of a gang war does erupt between Dickie Moltisanti and Harold, and it kind of plays out this way. I won't give any spoilers away of any little small details to the story itself, but there is that's kind of like the basis of the plot there. In between all this, there is the Soprano family, as Dickie Moltisanti is constantly around Tony Soprano, he's around Livia Soprano, he's around Junior, he's around Johnny Boy. He tries to take young Tony under his wing, The young Tony as a child is hardly in the first hour of the film. He is, I wouldn't even call him a bit part character. He's very, very minor. But there's always the sense that where is Tony? Is he around? What's happening to him? When he's not in a scene, he's often mentioned. He's often asked where he is or how he's doing or what he's up to or if he's in trouble in school. And Dickie kind of takes him under his wing to speak to him as a father figure as John Boy is not around. But he's not pushing him towards the family. It's more to do with school, be a good person, stay out of trouble, play football. It's this sort of father figure. Dickie Montesanti really wants to be a good person, and he visits Ray Liotta's Hollywood Dick's twin brother in prison. They really do kind of try to replicate the Tony Soprano and Dr. Melfi scenario there from the Sopranos TV series. It's interesting enough, but it doesn't quite hit the mark. You know what they're trying to do with it, but it's still not the same. One thing that Dickie and Tony do have a lot of character traits similar to the older Tony from the Sopranos, where you could see he probably gets these from Dickie being around him a lot, where he wants to do good. He feels he can be a better person, but his own inner demons kind of get in the way, where everything he touches kind of falls apart. People get hurt. He often hurts his loved ones like Tony did. He's a sociopath. He's a narcissist. And you can see that Tony would have probably got these little personality traits from Dickie. But from saying all this, when it gets to the second part of the movie, and we've been told this is Dickie's story. Hold on, I'm just going to take a sip on my beer. We've been told this is Dickie's story. It kind of switches to where Michael Gandolfini then comes into it in the second part of the movie. And I wouldn't say he takes center stage, it's still Dickie taking center stage. But you are more invested or more interested in Tony's side. You want to see what he's up to, where he is, what conversations he has with Junior or Livia or John Boy or even Janice. And they do give you moments of this, but it's not enough to show you why Tony becomes the way he is. They kind of subtly show us moments and there's small scenes, but it doesn't really tell us a lot. Why Tony the way he is? Why is he as aggressive? We're only given little moments. Why is he psychologically trapped still in his childhood for when he's an adult with Dr. Melfi? We know from the TV series when he speaks about it, but we want to see more of these moments. We're given brief scenes, and the best thing about the movie is Tony and the Soprano scenes. So Livia, played by Vera, I think she's fantastic. It's not over the top. It's not mimicking at all. You can see she tried to make the character her own. It really works. There's a couple of great moments with Tony as well. One when they're in the kitchen talking. One where she goes to his school. But we do not get enough of that. It's kind of drip drabbing and just small baby feeding us, and we want so much more. Kind of the relationship with John Boy and Livia would have been fantastic to play out. There's a couple of really good moments where the TV show kind of made us feel it was all Livia who was crazy. It was all Livia was the way she made John Boy crazy. She made the way Tony is, the way Janice becomes. But John Boy has a larger role to play, even though he's not on screen that much. The moments he is on screen, and John Bernthal really does play it well, is that he has a ticket, a switch where he can just change, and it really turns the screw in Livia, and it really, really changes the way you see the family as a whole now, and it just only baby feeds you these moments where you just want more. You want to see this more. Why is Tony the way he is? And you can see from his mother and his father, they had a huge impact, and are just not giving us enough of it. And I understand it's not his story, it's more Dickie's story, but the narrative has a tug of war then at this stage, because it's confusing itself, where they want it to be Dickie's story, but yet you keep mentioning Tony even when he's not on screen, so the audience just wants to see Tony. It's a Sopranos story, so we want to see Tony's upbringing, we want to see his interaction with his mother, with John Boy, with even some of the other characters like Paulie or like Silvio. It has a couple of nice and awkward moments with Junior, who plays him, who Corey Stoll plays him brilliantly. It's a very subtle role. He has a couple of remarks that will call back to the TV series. A couple of his lines are calling back to Junior when he's older, and it's not over the top. And speaking of over the top, I really do feel Silvio Dante and Paulie Walnuts Gualtieri's, like, I know they want to make it believable who they're trying to play, but Silvio Dante, for example, it seems just like a comedy sketch with a guy with prosthetics, and he's mimicking his every movement, his every twitch, and it just comes across a bit of a joke, really, a bit of a comedic piece, like they're doing a stand-up sketch, and it's really distracting. It's really takes away from each scene that's played out. Most of the characters really are, they're not over the top. It's really only those two. There's a couple of callbacks and mentions of other characters. Jackie makes an appearance too. There is some callbacks where you may find it funny. There's a great scene in it from a story that Janice tells in Sopranos home movies. So that's a really good callback, and I think people will enjoy that one. I think Michael Gandolfini is great as Tony. He, again, is not overacting, it's not mimicking, he makes it his own, and you can really feel he invested a lot of time and energy watching his father, but not going over the top, just portraying or mimicking, and it really does pay off. He has a really good screen presence. Ray Liotta's good in it as well. For every scene he's in, he plays two characters. But the film, just the first hour, really, and not a lot is happening, and they're trying to cram a lot of fan verse into these 2 hours, where it probably would have been better if it was spread out over maybe a 3-season period, and you really would have got your book for this. But for now, it's too crammed. Maybe also felt like they're maybe setting up for a sequel or a different movie, and for me, it was just the narrative is pulling against two different ways. It's Dickie, who, like, Alessandro plays a really good part, great screen presence too, but then it's pulling apart the narrative with Tony's, and you're more invested in Tony because of The Sopranos, and it just doesn't feel like it's his own movie. It just feels like we didn't really need it, although it is good. There is some moments that are really good. It just kind of falls flat on its face at times. I really would have liked to see this played out over 3 or 4 seasons. I don't think we'll get that. As most likely we're going to get a sequel, which I'm not sure if people really want. So on top of all that, with the script being a bit confusing, the bit of a tug of war with the narrative between Tony and Dickie, bit of the over the top performances for Paulie and for Silvio, and then some of the great points with the Soprano family itself, taking all that consideration, I think I'd give this film 3 beers out of 5. So please, if you went to see it, let me know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? That's okay. If you weren't a Sopranos fan and you went to see the movie, what did you think of it? Does it make you want to actually watch The Sopranos now? Because I know when I watched it, all it makes me want to do is go back and rewatch The Sopranos. So, thank you for tuning in, guys. My next review, I think we're going to do the master, that is Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange. I know it's been re-released again in 4K. So please like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll be back soon enough. John out. Peace.